Hello and welcome to Peggy's Plants, coming to you from Central Florida with a no-dig patio accent garden. My backyard has kind of been an ongoing project since I moved into this house a few years ago. I live on the water, which is a nice enough view, but I wanted something just to make it look a little bit more tropical. I live in Florida. I wanted more of my plants. I wanted to add some color, but not block my view any. So I came up with this great idea to do this big garden bed back here, but keep it very simple, just some plantings and some mulch. I use pavers as a border. I killed off the vegetation, cleared the area, put down barrier, did everything to make this garden a success, and it was an epic fail. There were cats that were using my garden bed as a litter box, and the turtles started nesting in here, so I had to wait for those eggs to hatch before I could even clean up the bed. It had overgrown with weeds and everything, so I ended up having to pull it all up, and now I'm starting over again from square one. I want this project to be as inexpensive as possible and as easy as possible. So I don't want to do any digging, and I want to use things that I have on hand. I don't really have to be concerned about the view from across the lake. I'm more concerned with how things will look from the vantage point of my screen room, since that's where I do a lot of my entertaining. So here in my yard, I have some additional pavers that I can use if I am running short. So I'll use some or all of these. I also have some clearance plants up here that I have not yet used for anything. So they're available to me for planting in that area. But I think what I'm going to go with is these Bromiliads. You may recall seeing these Bromiliads from one of my big box shopping trips. I found all of these Bromiliads on clearance. And so I've just been kind of storing them in front in this pot until I found use for them. And I think this is going to be the perfect project for them, because I don't want to plant anything that's going to get tall and obstruct my view of the lake. But I really do want to add some color and some texture to the garden bed. So I think these will be just perfect. So now that I've decided what I'm going to put back here, it's time to get started. I fully intended for this to be a quick no-dig project, but I had a sponsor contact me and offer me some lawn lights. And I was happy to get them and incorporated them into this project. So I did decide to dig to bury the cable for the lawn lights. That is an optional step. And I could have just put it under the weed barrier, so still you don't have to dig, but I opted to do that. It started to rain, so I had to take a rain break, and I decided to move around the furniture on my patio to make the most of the time, and here's how that came out. It is the next day. I managed to get all the weed barrier down. All of the lights have been connected to the main cable that has been buried. I kind of laid the bags of rocks on top of the weed barrier, all of that to help flatten down the grass under it, because again, I did a no dig. Normally I would clear out all the weeds before I laid the barrier and stuff, but I wanted to try this no dig method. Without light, the grass and everything under the barrier should die off, so I'm counting on that. So I brought some pots from the front yard. I'm going to be using those back here, as well as some plants, some elephant ears that I already had planted in these felt planters. So now I have started laying down the pavers as a border. I'm putting that on top of the weed barrier. And my thinking is that will stop grass and weeds from growing between the pavers. I know that weed barrier is controversial to some people. If you're not in favor of it, use whatever method works for you. But this is how I decided to do mine. So now I have to go ahead and continue to build my border all the way around and fill the area with the stone. With this method, there's no way to get the pavers exactly level, but I just pounded the paver in place with a mallet to flatten it out as much as possible. I was using weed kill initially, but I didn't like the dead grass around the edges of the pavers, and I don't like using a lot of chemicals. So I just decided to forego the spray and I like the way it looks a lot better. It's been 4 hours and I'm exhausted. It's 100 degrees, so I decided I needed to take a little break. These people out here on this little sailboat have the right idea. That's the thing to do today in this kind of heat. After my break, it was time to take yet another trip to Lowe's to get 15 more bags of landscaping stone. These are the stones that I was using, and I really like the way they look. The color works well for my landscaping. After another 2 hours, I was able to get the entire border down, and I was able to empty all of the bags of rock. Now again, I wasn't concerned about how it looked from the back because I am facing the lake, so I'm not concerned about what it looks like from the lake necessarily. I was more concerned about the look from my patio. I wanted it to have a certain ambiance, and I wanted the landscaping lights to highlight my plants. So what I did was I decided to put the lights behind the pots and behind the plants on the side closest to the screen room. That way the lights would not be shining in your eyes when you're sitting on the porch, and I have them pointed upwards so that they can uplight the plants. I'll put a link above so that if you're interested in seeing just how easy it is to put in landscaping lights, I do have the sponsored video, so I'll link it to this one. But the lighting was definitely an unexpected touch, but it turned this little garden into everything. It made all the difference. So I got all of my lights in place, and I decided to leave the bromeliads in the pots for now, and we'll be taking them out. This desert rose will be going into the ground eventually once I see if it likes this area. My sprinkler system is over here, so everything will get watered periodically, and the water comes from the lake. And they're just evenly spaced. The bromeliads are evenly spaced between the pots. I love the way these alocasias look in these pots, and I just put the felt bags into the pots so that they'll be easy to remove when they outgrow. And as you can see, I have the bromeliads. This light is facing palm trees. These bromeliads are the ones that were by my little palm tree. I just went on and pulled those up. So far I'm very pleased with the way things are looking. I'm going to have to go back and do a little bit of straightening so that the row of border pavers are nicely lined up. But hey, for as easy as this was in a no-dig, being a no-dig garden, it was pretty easy to do, and I'm really pleased with the look of it. I would have never thought to do it this way. The one area that I will have to do some tweaking is down here at a downspout. I ended up doing it like this. This area is a lot lower where the water has dug into the ground. So for now I just put pavers there, and I'll have to raise that. But I really like the way it looks from the porch, having a focal point outside with some plantings that won't get so big that they will obstruct the view of the lake. But it also gives just another feature, something more to look at. And I love the way that the bromeliads are giving some texture as well as pops of color in the little side garden. So this is what it looks like at night. It gives me that ambiance of just a little bit of lighting. I love the uplighting on the alocasias. Moving out into the yard, this is how it looks at dusk. Not totally dark yet, but you really can't see much of the garden. And this is how I intended it to be initially. Since there are turtles and things back here that are laying eggs and all, I won't leave the lights on overnight, even though they're on a timer. I'll have them on for a few hours, usually just when I'm out here entertaining or sitting out here myself. But the lawn lights came right on time, and they added a perfect touch to this little accent garden. So this is what it looks like without the lights. And when I say the lights were a game changer, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is without the lights, and here is what it looks like with the lawn lights. Out a game changer. I'm really loving this look. It's beautiful. It far exceeded my expectation. The entire project took me about 7 hours from start to finish. I did have some help with the spreading of the gravel and like that, but it took about 7 hours from start to finish. And that included installing the lawn lights and the transformer and all of that as well. And the cost was simply for the stone that I had to buy, additionally the 30 bags, and that brought me to a total just under $200. And everything else was stuff that I already had. So that was just, all that cost me was some hard work. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Go out there and try your no-dig garden. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.